BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I'm trying to make as many books videos as I can this month. So this is, I don't know how many videos I made this month, but I guess in a way I'm overcompensating for being gone for a week last week, or the week before. I think it's last week, but anyway. I just made my end of the year book tag video, so now I'm going to make my goals for 2020 video, which I don't know if that's considered too early or not, but because we still have the rest of this month and 2 more months to go, but I decided to go ahead and do this now. And who knows, who knows what my schedule is going to be. Not that I have a crazy schedule, but you never know. Okay, so reading goals for 2020. I've, of course, made a document on Word. Okay, so first, I intend to lower my Goodreads goal for 2020. Okay, so this year, my Goodreads goal was 100 books. I think I can do it, but, I mean, I'm on book 81, and then I've another play I'm working on, which won't take me that long, and then I'm reading Wuthering Heights, which is 34 chapters, I believe, and they're not super long chapters. And then after I read Wuthering Heights, I'm gonna watch the movie, because I do have the movie. We just never had the book. I don't know if my sister ever had the book, but like I said, we do have the movie, so I'm gonna watch the movie after I read the book. Next year I want to lower it, because sometimes I will go back and forth and wondering, is the fact that I made my goal like 100 or 50 books or whatever, or 60 or 90 books or whatever, is that part of why I end up feeling overwhelmed and feel like, because I like making the Goodreads goal, I like the idea of keeping track of how many books I'm reading and showing what I've accomplished as far as reading goes. It's the one thing that I can stick to, and it's not something I do every so often, like disciplining myself to clean my, clean my room or clean my bathroom with reading, or disciplining myself to sit down and actually try to write instead of complaining and feeling guilty. Because whenever I watch videos like Jenna Moreci, who has a lot of books out, or, well, not a lot of books, but she just published a book, or like how people like Haley from Haley Bookland are working on their book, or like Christine from Pullin' and Bananas is just published a book and feeling guilty because I want to publish a book too at some point, but I can't discipline myself to do it, to actually sit down and write. Like, I have the ideas, it's just the whole actually putting them into a story. But anyway, that's kind of off topic here. Like I said, I got onto that tangent because, like I said, reading is the one thing that I can easily do. So I like seeing how well I've done with my reading, how many books I've read. It makes me feel proud. I know it shouldn't be about quantity, but it's kind of a good feeling when you can see that you see how many books you've read and that you do read a lot. Although not as much as some people do. And everyone, like my relatives and people I work with, and they're all surprised, and like random people I meet are so shocked that I read, so my age reads. Of course, they also think I'm like 16 or 18, and they're so stunned that people my age read. And it's like, maybe you should go BookTube, because there are a lot of people on there. But anyway, so I just make my goal. I always, make my goal high. Well, this year, or not this year, 2020, I'm thinking about making like 1 book or 5 books. Like, go back to the first reading challenge I ever had, which is 5 books. But at the time, I only did it because I did not have access to my books. And it was around the time we were moving, so I only had like a handful of books. And then, it was October, so 2 more, when we went through that and when I was at my grandmother's, so I was like, I only have 2 more months. But anyway, I might use that goal again and go with 5 books this year and just keep adding to it and see how well I do. Okay, so goal number 2 is I want to start getting into TBRs again. So I had stopped with the TBRs because I wasn't sticking to them. And I know there's nothing wrong with not making a TBR. But at the same time, I ended up neglecting a lot of books because there are some books that are just easier for me to get to, like whether it's a YA book or a fantasy book. There's books I'm more eager to read, and I like other genres. I have more than just fantasy that I like to read. I want to expand my horizon. I want to continue to expand my horizons, and I feel like having a TBR is an easy way to get yourself to do that. But I also don't want to be rigid about it. I don't want to be like, you have to read these books. And the other problem is, and I brought this up, I don't know if I brought this up in it was this video or the end of the year book tag video, where, of course, I probably brought it up other times too, where I talk about how there are times when I'm feeling like, oh, I gotta read this book. Oh, I forgot to read this book. Or I gotta read this one now. Oh, I should get back into reading this one. Or, oh, I should read the show that I'm reading this one to my sister or to my parents because they bought it for me. And I end up putting a lot of books that I'm probably never gonna get to. I mean, maybe only a quarter of those books I'm actually gonna read. But I am trying to discipline myself better. And like I said, I know there's nothing wrong with having, liking the genre you like. But I don't just like fantasy. It's not my fantasy is my go-to. It's easy for me to get into. And especially with YA. YA is simple. I mean, not simple, but it's like the original target audience was teenagers. So the writing style is different than an adult book, and it doesn't have as much in it. But although, it's funny though, like, I have no problem reading Harry Potter, or even like a Sarah J. Maas book, although lately not so much, but, or a Cassandra Clare book in like one go, because one, it's fantasy, and the writing style is a little bit easier to, like, just get lost in, because, and I know a lot of people have Cassandra Clare problems, and I know a lot of people feel like, oh, she's only continuing to publish books because of money purposes, and maybe that's the case, maybe it isn't. I mean, it probably is, but I don't care. I still like her world, and I want to keep reading her books. But with those kind of books, it's easier for me to keep going with it. With something like, I'm trying to think, this book, for instance. First of all, this edition is hard to travel with. It's the hardback edition, which is the first one that comes out. It's a big book. It's not a mass market paperback, which is easier to travel with. And there's a lot of pages, so in a way I do get intimidated by the length. I mean, I'd like to believe that I'm not intimidated as easily, but, I mean, there's a limit. But I continue to try, and I want to keep going. And, and the other thing, a book like that size is a big commitment, so it's like, I'm feeling like, as much as, even with fantasy sometimes, especially adult fantasy, it's like, I am enjoying you, but then, I want to read this new shiny book that will not take as long for me to read. And then also because I'm a bit insecure, and I kind of want to prove, first of all, one thing I want to prove is that I want to prove my generation doesn't just spend their whole time on their phones, clicking away, or like on, social networks, says the girl who's making a booktube video, like Facebook and Twitter and all those other, and Tumblr and all those. I'm trying to prove that we still enjoy a good book, and that is that size. So I'm like, that's why I always make sure I have a book to bring with me to work that's small enough to fit in my little lunch bag. And the other thing I was thinking of is there's always books that I want to show certain people that I'm reading those books. Because I am insecure and I'm like saying, oh, I don't just read like these kind of books, I also read these books and enjoy them too. So it's like I feel like I'm always trying to show off almost. Which I know I shouldn't do that and I shouldn't care what people think, but that's not good. And you can tell me not to care. Oh, don't screw what they think, but it won't change how I feel. I mean, it won't magically make my insecurities go away or my wanting to prove myself to people or prove that I read these kinds of books as well, It won't go away even if you tell me. Who cares, Why should you, that's the thing. You have to eventually get to the point where you don't worry about that. I have to eventually get to that point where I don't care. And maybe that won't happen until I'm old and gray. I think that happens to a lot of actors. We met Ron Perlman. That guy who played the original Hellboy. And he was on a Charmed episode. He's done a couple other movies. He's kind of one of those B actors. He was in the original Beauty and the Beast TV series from the 80s. And when we met him, I'm talking about me and Terry, he kind of had this laid back attitude. Also, he was kind of tired, and he yawned in front of us, and it was like he didn't give a rat's ass that he yawned in front of us. And he's just such an easygoing guy, and I feel like because he was at that point where he had been in his career for a long time, and he was much older, so it's like, he didn't care. He had this probably at that moment of, what, who cares what these people think? If they love me and if they're my fans, then they'll be loyal no matter what. So I feel like you have to get to that point. Your friends can tell you why, can question why you care so much, or random people that you meet, you make friends with online or something, they can question you all they want and be like, why do you care? You need to stop caring so much about what other people think, but that won't go away unless you allow it to go away. But anyway, again, me going off on a tangent. So where was I going on about? I can't remember why I went off on that tangent. But anyway, long story short, I want to be more with my TBRs. I want to start doing them again, and then I want to read a book from each genre that I like in each category. Adult, YA, and I'm starting to get more into middle grade. Kind of like the newer middle grades books. It's too late as I've said in the past, it's too late for me to get into Rick Riordan's books at this point. Although the concepts are cool, the idea of bringing mythology of all the different Greek, Norse mythology and all that, bringing that all to life in a way that kids can connect with, and the whole idea of the demigods, and making it a little less mature, because there's a lot of aspects of the story, like people marrying their sisters and birthing goats and or minotaurs. There's a lot of disturbing things, heads being cut off, and a lot of very mature content in the original mythologies. But he makes it 13-year-old level, which is great. And at the time, if I had got into it then, I probably would have enjoyed it too. I did read The Red Pyramid, but I never continued with his world, that trilogy. But I got tired of waiting for that series, which is why sometimes you want to wait until the whole series, or most of the books are out. I don't like getting into a series. I try to avoid getting into a series when only the first book is out. But, I made that mistake I've already gotten into that mistake with, the Morgan Crow series. But anyway, so, YA books, young, adult books, middle grade books, I want to read, a nonfiction each month, a fantasy each month, a horror each month, sci-fi each month, etc., etc. The next one kind of has to do with that same goal, which is reading a Victorian novel each month or every couple months, depending on how long it will take me, or more like how long the book is. Because I am really enjoying participating in Victober this month. I think it's really fun. I like Victorian literature. I'm really engaged in it. I want to keep going with it. So I want to get myself to read one Victorian literature each month or every couple months. Because it's fun. And I'm really enjoying it. Okay, and next. And then that also includes continue with the classics and reading one classic every month or every couple months, again, depending on how long the book is, because I'm not that fast of a reader. So I want to continue with classics as well, and continue exploring them. So not just Victorian classics, but classics from other, like modern classics and classics from back in the day. Like, I've bought a lot of them recently, thanks to with the help from the Given Bookstore. Like, I have War and Peace, Don Quixote, I have more Russian literature. I want to continue expanding my reading horizons. Okay, so now this next goal has to do with the Stephen King project. I'm going to continue that project next year because Stephen King is writing a lot of books. I don't know if I'll read all of his new books. Like, I'm debating about reading The Institute, because the concept is really cool, but I've heard that in his newer books, he kind of really goes into his political views, and I don't read, so I can dwell on what's going on in our political climate. I just don't want to hear about it anymore. I'm tired of focusing on it. Your opinion is your opinion about that, whether, it's fine, whatever you think. But I don't want to, when I read a book, I want to escape. I don't want to hear about what you think and hear about your, like, the metaphor you're trying to use. I mean, if I don't notice it, and I have to pick a book that happens to have, like, it's clearly a statement, then it's too late and I didn't notice it. But if I hear about it ahead of time, then, yeah, I don't know if I want to read that book. Like I said, the concept is really cool. But I don't know, like I said, I might get it from the library if it ever comes to our library. But I don't know, a lot of times it takes them forever to get new books. They don't get, like, every single new book that I like. Like, I'm keep holding out for The Wicked Deep. Although, I think I have heard that if you hint to your librarian, which I have conversed with our libraries, like, there's librarians. I mean, there's only really two that I feel like I could be like, hint, there's only two women that worked there. One is Terry. I think it's Terry with a Y, actually. And then Melissa, who also reads YA, and she's, like, in her 40s, I believe. I mean, she might be close to her 50s at this point. But, I mean, I love pointing out that how she's a woman in her 40s, close to her 50s, and she says she loves YA and still reads YA. So there. You can still be in your 40s and still connect with a YA novel and enjoy it. So I don't know if I'm going to read that one or not. Like I said, I might wait and see if it ever comes to our library, or if someone happens to give it to the bookstore, the Given's bookstore, and I can get it for cheap. Or if, like his other two newer books, they weren't cheap, but it was one of these things where I was trying to get 3 books from a shelf at a discount price. Of course, they weren't on that shelf. Every time I picked out my 3 books, then the guy would be like, and it was a guy, or it might have been a girl, I can't remember, but he's like, oh, this doesn't apply to the sale. So I was having a hard time making my choices. So finally I was like, you know what, screw it, just pick whatever 2 books you want to pick. So I ended up getting, where are they? Oh, it might be over on that side, but I got The Outsider from the library. From that bookstore at the airport. But actually, it was at the Disney airport, which we ended up not going to because I thought we were going to fly to Florida, but turns out we drove because my mom wanted to bring the dog because last time when we went on the cruise, Sophie, our oldest dog, got, sick. She's pretty old now, sadly, and we don't know if it was heat stroke. It was like she was overheated, or maybe I put up the possibility of homesickness, like she missed us, because it's been a while since we've been on vacations for that long. Because if my mom is gone for a week, it's usually by herself when she's visiting my sister, I think. So we ended up bringing them with them to Florida, and the timeshare thankfully allowed it. And although my mom said that for backup, in case someone asked, tell them Rascal is one of those medical dogs. Like if I had a disability or handicapped or something. But anyway, okay, back to the Stephen King project. So, basically, I want to continue reading his books each month or every couple months, depending on how long the book is, because some of his books, like The Stand and The Eyes of the Dragon and what was the one I was thinking? Needful Things. Those are pretty long books. I don't know if It or The Stand is longer. I think It is longer, or at least my edition of It is longer. But yeah, I want to continue reading. I'm going to continue the Stephen King project. Okay, so next is, like I mentioned this already, I think, in this video, that I need to read Elantris and Warbreaker because they are shorter Brandon Sanderson books. Before I continue with The Way of Kings, his epic, his magnum opus, which I've already started, and I'm totally failing at reading those first. But I definitely need to read those first, at least by next year. I mean, I would love to start them by the end of this year. Maybe I will. I don't know. But as of right now, those are, I want to finish at least read them by next year or next year. Okay, so the next goal is I need to at least read 2 nonfiction this year, because at least 2 nonfictions for 2020. Because I feel like I said, the thing about nonfiction is sometimes it can seem a little tedious and boring, but I do think the way to make it not so boring is if it's a subject you are passionate about. But if it's not a story, if it's not a narrative, or if it's a really long book, then my attention might not last. But I do want to keep reading these nonfiction books. I have a bunch of them now, a handful at least, and I want to read them because I like their subject matter. At least right now I do. But I mean, I did give up on Marie Antoinette: The Journey. I can't remember the author's name. It's like I cannot remember her name. But I just ended up losing interest. So I want to keep going. And so I'm going to participate in Nonfiction November this year. But I want to read 2 more nonfiction books. I want to read 2 nonfiction books in next year. And I'm hoping to squeeze one in this year by hoping to finish one in November. Okay, so next, the last one, I want to reread a book each month. There's a lot of books that I enjoy, that I absolutely love, that I want to reread, like The Night Circus, A Tale of Two Cities is another one. I want to finish up the Lunar Chronicles, so I want to reread Winter soon. I don't know if I'm going to read it this year or next year, And then I still gotta get that graphic novel, Wires and Nerves, with starring Aiko, who was Cinder's kind of robot companion, her android companion. She was kind of her fairy godmother, like, because Cinder was based on Cinderella. There are a lot of books I want to reread. I did attempt to reread Gone with the Wind. I still want to do that, along with I want to continue my reread of It by Stephen King. But both It and Gone with the Wind are pretty long books. So, but either way, I feel like I need to read. Either I need to read it now, I need to read The Night Circus now, or at least in the winter time. I know it does feel very autumnal and spooky and stuff. Like I said, I want to focus on Victorian literature this month. I'm going to continue to do that. Although I keep thinking about all the books that I have neglected, because again, this is what I do. I think about all the books I've neglected. But I'm going to try to break that. Not this. I keep thinking, like, I keep remembering how Ron's wand got broken and how Harry broke I think he broke the Elder Wand at the end of the movie. But if I remember correctly, that's not one I need to reread. I need to reread the last Harry Potter book. I need to finally reread that one. And that's a series I want to make it a tradition that I reread the book, that whole series. Like I might do kind of starting next year. That's another book series that I'm gonna start rereading. What I might do is I might do this next year, where I kind of do what Murphy Napier is doing, which is she's reading a Harry Potter book a month and reviewing it. And the first 3 books are not that hard to get through. They're not that long. They're very quick reads. It's just book 4 through 7 that are really long. And it's so funny how, like, yeah, I'm talking here about how there are books like The Way of Kings or Priory and the Orange Tree that take me forever to read, but yet you have a Harry Potter books 1 through 4, 4 through 7 that are pretty chunky, or a Sarah J. Maas book, which is 500 plus pages. The same with the last 4 Harry Potter, the books 4 through 7 in Harry Potter series, or Cassandra Clare's books keep getting bigger and bigger too, and I can get through those fine, yet I can't get through, like, The Way of Kings, or Priory of the Orange Tree, or Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which I'm pointing down here because they're down here, which I don't know why, because you can't see it. Unfortunately, I don't have the editing skills to, like, move things so you can see it. But it's funny that I can read a YA book that is 500 plus pages and get through that quickly. I mean, it still will take me a little bit of time, but I can still get through it a lot quicker than those other books I mentioned. Because I guess adult books are a different kind of challenge. And YA books, the plots are always, like, almost always so exciting and thrilling, and you just have to keep going, and it helps when the chapters are really short, too. Like, that's what's great about Wuthering Heights, is the chapters are short. It's just, I haven't had a lot of time to spend all day reading it. Like, I've come close. Like, I came home at 2 yesterday, I believe, but I fully did not take advantage of that because I ended up getting sidetracked, which I'm doing right now. And as far as reading goes, I could be reading right now. And then I also have to watch the season 15's premiere of Supernatural. I finally decided to record it on my DVR. And I just remember I have a lot of Supernatural episodes that I pre-recorded that I haven't watched yet. Because the whole vacation kind of threw me off of my TV show watching routine. And then this month I'm trying to watch certain things this month that are Halloween-esque related. Although Supernatural could be considered Halloween-esque related. But I'm going to stop talking now, because you guys are probably tired of hearing me talk, and it's getting late. It's like, 7 or no, wait, no, 8, 8, 8:10. So I'm gonna go so I can get my dessert, get that episode of Supernatural in, and then watch a lot of booktube videos because I still have so many booktube videos to catch up on. So I will talk to you guys later. Give it a thumbs up if you liked this video and weren't bored out of your mindless eyes, or and please tell your friends about my channel. I would appreciate it. And would love to hear what your goals are for next year. Have you started those goals? I asked this question in my end of the year book tag as the question you can answer in the comments below. But if you want to share a more specific goal, feel free to share that goal. I would love to hear what your priorities are for next year. Or share what books you want to read next year, if there's a specific books that you want to start reading next year. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.